We're going to play buy or sell, and it's going to be Reds related. Kind of questions that we've teetered on over the last 2 weeks when things have taken a turn for their worst, right? You keep trying to hold out some hope. You keep trying to find that glimmer, but things just continue to pile on and pile on. So it's been a topic of conversation on Chatterbox Reds, on local talk shows. We'll do it on this local talk show. Buy or sell, Matt McLain will turn it around this year. Jacob.
All right, I'm going to do what we always do on this show, define turn it around.
He is an OPS plus. He's a league average hitter.
I'll say yes. Okay. I'll say yes. I think that is a requirement of him going down at some point to get some confidence back. I think that has to be pretty bad at this point, but I will buy that. I think that might be a more optimistic buy than anything else, because if he's not a league average hitter, oh boy, what is this team for the rest of the season? What is this core going into next year? So he better be, and I'll buy it, I guess, out of optimism.
Are we saying that he turns it around with or without getting sent to AAA?
I think he would have to get sent down to get there.
You think he has to?
Almost has to get sent down to get, because it doesn't look like he's just going to start hitting major league pitching at some point. So, when Klay Thompson shoots it after the whistle, you see it go through the hit room and he gets hot the next quarter.
Crossing their fingers and shoving him out there for 2 months straight, hoping something will click. And
he's got to see the ball go through the hoop at some point. And if that has to be AAA, it has to be AAA. He had a 100-mile-an-hour double yesterday, so maybe baby steps.
He's still batting 176.
But we'll see what happens.
It's one at bat.
Yeah, I'm not optimistic. He's got to go down.
Hey, he could just call up some guys from the Cincinnati Adult Baseball League to pitch to him, just so he can see some go over the
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
Just get Wade Miley to pitch
contact.
to him.
There you go, Pearl. There you go.
What Pearl say?
She said put Wade Miley in there for some BP.
Yes! That's Wade. Everyone's looking for their purpose in life, right? When you are in your pit of despair, you're like, what am I supposed to do with my life? Am I supposed to be a dad? Am I supposed to be a great brother? Whatever it is. Wade Miley's purpose for the Cincinnati Reds right now is to get Matt McLain right. He pitches to Matt McLain every day before the game.
I like that.
Every day before the game, just so Matt McLain just keeps hitting some gappers.
I like that. I hope he doesn't hit Gapper.
Correct. Do not hit Gapper.
No, don't hit Gapper.
Mr. Redleg, you're allowed to hit. The greatest segment in the history of this show was when we went over the genealogy of the Reds mascots. And I think there's still something to unfold there.
There's a lot of questions to be
I think Mr. Red's weird and unnecessary.
Pearl, do you think what's the relationship between Mr. Redleg,
Are we doing this again?
Rosie, and Mr. Red? In your opinion?
It's weird because that is a question, but I don't know.
Are Mr. Redleg and Rosie Red dating? Are they married? Or is Mr. Red with Rosie?
And it's their
Mr. Red's just like an awkward thing on the side.
Okay, so you think Mr. Redleg and Rosie are together?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mr. Red's the child?
I don't know.
And Gapper's the pet?
I don't think he's
Gapper's
a child.
the pet.
Gapper's the pet.
I think that has to be.
I always thought Rosie was the child. I thought Rosie and Mr. Red were the child of Mr. Redleg. But Rosie wears an old-style uniform similar to Mr. Redleg, so it makes sense.
They seem to go together, but Mr. Red, I just feel like is so unnecessary. You already have the guy mascot, the girl mascot, and you have the fun kid mascot for Gapper. I'm like, Mr. Red just seems so unnecessary.
Buy or sell, Rosie Red and Mr. Redleg are in a relationship.
Bye.
Okay, I will find that answer.
Buy. And Gapper's the pet.
You're going to find like a Reddit forum or something.
I think we've looked up this before. They do have bios on the Reds website.
There's
also
also
have bios on the Reds. Yeah, there's a mascot. While he's doing that, let's do buy or sell with the next one. I will buy that Matt McLain will turn it around. I will buy that Matt McLain by the end of the year. He's not going to be nearly what he was in 2023. That ship has already sailed. But I think he's going to be a league average hitter. I think his OPS plus will approach 100, and he's got a lot of work to do. Like, he's got to be like a 115 hitter for at least 2 months just to get him back to where he is right now. Jacob, you don't like this? I see a grin on your face.
Officially, they're just a group of friends.
That's not fun.
Officially, there is no family genealogy between the mascots.
Mr. Redleg is so much older than the rest of than at least Mr. Red.
Now, I will say, Rosie Red is 5'11" and 101 pounds of fun. Mr. Redlegs is 3 Louisville Slugger bats tall and a lean 200. Mr. Red is 19 mitts tall and 215 pounds with no equipment. Gapper just 5'7".
Who's 19
and 7
mitts tall?
quarters. Sorry?
Who's
Mr. Red
Mr. Red is
19 mitts tall and
not
215 pounds.
He's 19 mitts.
That's correct.
They cannot have fingers. They have to be a mitt.
It's 19 mitts tall. He likes Firework Fridays in a well-worn-in glove. Gapper's 5'7" and 3/4. He's a few pounds less than the elevator limit.
Can you imagine being the person that has to be Gapper, like the I don't know what you call him, but yeah, the person that has to be the mascot? And how much do you weigh? A lot, like 30, a few pounds less than the elevator. 3,500 pounds in that Thyssen Krupp elevator. Yep, it's 3,400 is how much Gapper weighs. That's how big I am.
Rosie's career goal is a dance-off with Tampa Bay's Raymond.
I think we can get that.
I think we can make that happen.
Why
I think
has
we can
she
get
not
that.
achieved that goal?
I don't know.
Well, the Rays are looking for a place to stay. Maybe you
That's true.
just say, hey, you can come to Cincinnati for a little bit.
That'd be fun.
What if the Tampa Bay Rays turn into just a traveling show? They just play
Instead of the party animals, it's just the Bananas versus the Rays 162 times a year.
That's where they go. All right, let's get this show back on the road. If it ever was on the road to begin with, I think we've been kind of off it. The Reds, buy or sell. The Reds will get more than one All-Star this year.
I'm going to sell it. I think there's only one in the mix. I think right now, if you had to bet, it would either be Abbott or Friedel. And I think for the Reds to get two, one of the guys in that mix has to be a bigger name. The only reason they got two last year was Greene and Ellie.
Yeah.
If Hunter keeps missing time and Ellie's not playing great, I don't think they get in.
Do you think that Ellie's not going to be all like he's? I know he's.
He could be our one.
I was going to say.
But I'm saying I don't think we'll get a second.
I think Ellie's in the All-Star game just for
Name value.
Yeah, reputation alone.
Yeah.
I think he's like I did this bit last year that Ellie De La Cruz is a superstar, and the reason that I realized that was because I went to my cousin's youth games, and there were kids wearing 44 all over the place. Now we're here in Cincinnati, so obviously it hits a little home, but 44. Before Ellie De La Cruz was in the league, you ever seen people wear 44 before? Young 12-year-olds? No. And because of Ellie De La Cruz, people are wearing chains. My nephews wear chains when they play. And they wear 44 because Ellie De La Cruz. I think Ellie De La Cruz is in. So
I agree. I was saying for our second All-Star right now, it would have to be either Abbott or Friedel. And last year we only got two because it was Greene and Ellie. I think if it was going to be two for a team that's going to be significantly under 500 at that point and out of the race, has to be name value. I think they just give it to Ellie. I don't think Friedel or Abbott.
If I asked this question a week ago, would you have bought?
Yes.
Because of Hunter Greene.
If you would have asked this question yesterday, I would have bought because of Abbott.
Okay. Pearl, buy or sell, they get more than one All-Star. It's in Atlanta, right? They're sending more than one Red to Atlanta.
I'm not losing faith in. I think Abbott still could. If he, it depends if he like dies off a little towards the All-Star break, but I feel like he would be very appealing to be a part of that. So I'll say bye. Probably Abbott, Ellie.
Okay. Yeah, I think they get one for sure with Ellie De La Cruz. I mean, he'd have to be hurt for him to not be on the All-Star roster. So, and Abbott's what's his ERA? Even though he gave up 5 runs yesterday,
2.1 or something.
1,
like that?
2-1.
Yeah, something like that.
So it'd have to go bad. I think Abbott's a pretty.
But,
pretty
like,
at
he
this
just had
current
one
moment, I
blip.
think Andrew Abbott's a pretty safe bet to make the All-Star team. So
Yeah.
I'll buy this. And I see some people getting on me about wearing number 44. Obviously, Eric Davis was number 44. I wasn't denying the fact that there's been great number 44s that have played baseball before. I'm simply denying the fact that if you go to a youth baseball game, there weren't kids wearing 44. And I bet you in the 90s there weren't kids wearing 44 because also back in the 90s, you just got them at your local jersey thing and they just went numbers 1 through 12.
Size.
Yeah, it was literally just 1 through 12, and they're just like, all right, you get to be 1, you get to be 2, you get to be 3, you get to be 4. There wasn't any preference. Can I be 44 for Eric Davis? Also, you take anyone. The percentage of 12-year-olds that know who Eric Davis is, I'm gonna put it at pretty much 1%, and that 1% is only because they know someone named Eric Davis. Like their cousin is Eric Davis. Like there's no one that's 12 years old that knows who Eric Davis is as a ball player. I'm sorry to tell you. And he was fantastic. He was electric. 40 years ago, 35 years ago. I just don't think a lot of young kids know. And that's sad, but that is what it is. All right, buying or selling. Hunter Greene, you brought this up earlier, and I'm glad you brought this up. Hunter Greene will be back before the All-Star break, buying or selling.
I'm going to sell it out of, again, optimism. I do not want him to pitch before the All-Star break. I don't think you gain anything from having him pitch before the All-Star break. If he's already going to miss 2 starts and miss 15 days, then what are you having to come back for? 2 starts then before the All-Star break? 1 start before the All-Star break? Not something I'm interested in. Give him the extra week. I'm going to sell it because it's what I want to happen. And I think it truly is a 50-50 at this point.
Sell, fingers crossed, because I don't think they need to rush him back. Although I know that's kind of a track record with the Reds organization. They like to rush our players that are injured and then face repercussions later. But hopefully they learn from this time around, and we're not gonna have a third time around. So sell.
Yeah, does it come into play at all? I know I said if they're in contention, maybe they rush him back to try to get a more real grasp of what this team is before the trade deadline, and that's something I understand. But could it go the other way as well? If it gets really, really poorly, maybe not before the All-Star break, but right after, rushing him back if he doesn't feel great because he's one of very few guys on this team that put butts in seats. And if this team's going to be out of it, you at least get one every 5 days of Hunter Greene. If something else pops up, could they have more reason for an eliminated Reds team to use Hunter Greene than maybe if they are right around that bubble where you aren't sure?
Yeah, if they are playing good, if they win 3 or 4 straight consecutive series, and Hunter Greene says he's ready to go. What I just said earlier about they're going to give him an extra week, I still think they might do that, but there's going to be a little more incentive to get him back on that mound to give you the best chance to win 1 out of 3 series. But it's going to be close because 15-day, right? Mm-hmm. Still a little banged up at the end of the 15-day where he's telling you it's 100%, but we do what we think is going to happen. They're going to say, all right, we're going to give you an extra week on top of whatever you say, however long it takes to get this, just to make sure you're right. Now, all of a sudden, it's June 28th, and you're going to get 1-2 starts before the All-Star break. Maybe just give him the whole time.
Yeah. Also, the fact that it's not just his groin, it's his back alium. They put him on the IL before the MRI was even done because of his back. So it's 2 issues, not 1.
Yeah. I'll sell. He gets back before the All-Star break.
Where do you think Reds fans stand? I'll put a poll in the chat as well, but do you think they want him back? Not will he be back, but do you think Reds fans want him back before the All-Star break?
Depends what kind of fan, though.
That's a good question. I think if I was a Reds fan, I wouldn't want him back. Cause
I don't. Because
I think I want if this is me putting myself in your shoes, and I'm as optimist as it is when it comes to everything. Bengals, you guys know my Bengals take. I wait for something to happen and I try to spin it as positive as possible. I do that with the Reds. I do that with the Cubs and everything. And I still hold by the fact that the Reds haven't played their best baseball this year. Hopefully it comes sooner rather than later. And you can start talking yourself into something. Start talking yourself into we've got a shot to make the postseason. But if I was a Reds fan, seeing what I'm seeing, I think I just kind of want to scrap it and try again in 2 years. That's where I would be. But I understand the other way. Maybe you rattle off 3 or 4 consecutive series wins against good teams. And obviously that'd be good for this show. That'd be good for Chatterbox and all that stuff. I'm thinking practically, and it seems more likely that the best case is to sell what you got.
It's too close.
The Nick Martinez's, the TJ Friedels, yada, yada, yada. So, I don't know.
It was released that Martinez was on the list on ESPN of people that are open to be traded on the trade block. So Reds seem to at least be leaning towards sell at this point in time.
You know what my least favorite thing that some general managers and some front office people say is when they go, they're not on the trading block. We will not hear calls. Like if Duke Tobin came out, and this is something that I like very well. We will not take calls for Joe Burrow. There's a price for everything. there's a price for everything. You're telling me if the Baltimore Ravens want to call up and we'll give you Lamar and our next 2 first-round picks for Joe Burrow, you're turning that down? I love Joe. I'd rather have Joe than Lamar, but I ain't turning that down. There's always a price. And I hate that's just a little pet peeve that I have when they're like Hunter Greene's not on the block. Ellie De La Cruz. We're not fielding calls for Ellie De La Cruz. And then someone wants to call up and give you their top 7 prospects and 2 major league guys. They want to give you 9 players for Ellie De La Cruz. You're going to turn that down? Yeah. That's an annoying thing that I always get. There's always a price. So you leave that phone line open. So Nick Martinez, TJ Friedel, those pieces, we'll see. All right, buy or sell. Final one I got for you. Terry Francona, Tito, the Hall of Famer. Guy to save this city, 10-win player, 10-win manager, Terry Francona. Will be one and done. He's done after this year.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it. He looks miserable. He hates his life, and that place in Phoenix is really, really cool. There's a cool pool in the backyard. I think he had a putting green right next to the pool. It looked like an awesome place for him to live. I wouldn't want to be in Cincinnati either, coaching this miserable team. So he looked like he was having fun for the first couple months, but that's all out the window now. I don't think we've seen a smile in a couple days. So, yeah, I'm out on Tito. I think he's hanging it up after this year, and I wonder what that means for the Reds. How does that change the national outlook on this franchise if you get a Hall of Fame manager to come in and have 1 year and leave because he can't handle how bad your franchise is? That's not very good for the optics of a team that's really riding on an image that they haven't upheld for the last 30 years anyway. So I think it's pretty scary, and I think it could be one of the biggest losses for the Reds in terms of a national media appearance of the team and organization that they've had in a very, very long time. I think he's done after this year, and I think it's really bad for this organization.
Pearl?
I don't know. I don't agree. I just don't see him doing that. Like, I don't know. He just doesn't give me the vibe that he came out of retirement, he's going to break a contract, and, like, I don't know. I just don't see that.
Does he give you the vibe that he's having fun right now?
No, but I just don't think. Maybe he talked a whole 3-year plan. Like, it was 3 years for a reason. Maybe he sat down with the organization and talked out a plan for the 3 years, and maybe in his head he knew that this wouldn't be the year anyway, and maybe, like, there was a plan through the 3 years. So, maybe all his cards weren't in this year anyway. He didn't realize how taxing this would be on him, but I don't see him as a one and done. Maybe I'm wrong. But if he was, maybe that's the shakeup that Reds front office needs, because normally we dismiss the managers, like, so when's the last time that's happened? Like, and somebody of that significance would walk away from the Reds organization. That would be serious, and maybe that's what the front office needs.
Yeah, I think it's the reason that this question has started being posed is the same things that we've talked about, is that it looks more and more bleak on the future. It looks like hope, the same hope that we've been holding on to here in Cincinnati for 3-4 years now, is becoming more and more bleak. And Terry is becoming more and more frustrated. And we're seeing that boil over. I know a lot of people a lot of people don't like the way that he's been talking to a local favorite here in Charlie Goldsmith. And I'll be honest here, when I see those clips, it makes me a little frustrated. Like,
I agree.
Why are you treating him like that? Why are you talking to him like that? He's just trying to do his job, and he's asking questions. And I'm sorry that you don't like the question, but it's his job to ask the questions that you don't want to answer. It just appears more and more that he's not enjoying it here. And when you've tasted that retirement lifestyle, you don't want to put up with a job that's not enjoyable. My wife recently, and obviously we're not retired, but my wife recently took up just a little part-time gig to earn some extra money. And she was complaining about the other day. And I told her, and I looked at her, I was like, hey, if this job is ever not fun for a second, you lose it. Right? You stop doing that. And maybe that's where Terry's at. He gets back to wherever he lives in the offseason, I think it's Arizona, and he just goes, that wasn't a whole lot. That was a brutal 6 months that I just put myself through. Do I want to do that again? Do I want to see this thing through? And maybe there's a sort of, I signed up for 3 years, I'm going to see it through, because there are stubborn people in this world like that.
Also, I just feel like maybe, I don't know how he feels about it with himself, but obviously he is one of the top managers on record. So maybe to uphold his reputation, also, like, I don't feel like he would walk away after a year.
I was saying the exact opposite.
Oh, really?
Because of his reputation, he would step away.
I don't know. I can see it both ways.
If you can't turn around this Reds core, people will look at Terry Francona differently if this is the last image they have in their head.
He's
if
not
he steps away
God,
from
though.
the
These
Reds,
are the cards he's dealt. But it just
these are the
depends.
cards he's dealt. He's been terrible this year.
Yeah. But I don't know if people would look at him worse for walking away, quitting, or before trying to stick it out with the cards he's dealt. I don't know.
That's well, I'll be honest. As I'm talking through this, I'm convincing myself the other way because I wanted to buy this. I really did. I wanted to buy just by the demeanor that he has, just by whatever he was sold as this team to come out of retirement. That's looking a little more bleak. So I was like, I don't think he's going to do this. I don't think he's going to do this. Then I talked myself into kind of the headspace that is a stubborn, older, different generation Terry Francona, to where, and this is a testament to that generation, when they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. Terry Francona, say what you want about this season and the way he's managed, the way that he treats some beat writers here in this city. He appears, to his testament, a man of his word. And if he says that he's gonna manage your team for 3 years, well, he's gonna live up to it. So I think I talked myself.
You can get some health issues to creep back in. You get a little excuse to get out of here, which maybe happened before when he left the Guardians a year early.
I like how we put a tinfoil hat on. Jacob's a big tip. He's a nothing as it seems guy. He likes the conspiracies. I'm selling this. I think Terry's gonna be back next year.
If the Reds finish above 500, 500's the line. If you're there below, he's gone.
For what it's worth, PZ Pearl, she convinced me the other way. She put out a convincing argument there that Terry. Anyone ever called you PZ before?
No.
Well, there you go.
I'd swap Terry for old DB right now.
What is more cowardly? Let me put this. Terry, whatever, isn't back next year. What is more cowardly? The Reds front office calling David Bell and saying, hey, we fired you. Well, would you want your job back? Because that's pretty cowardly.
Yeah.
But I think the only thing that could be more cowardly is David Bell taking the job.
Okay, I was going to say David Bell calling the Reds. Hey, that job opened back up.
Well, that would be worse.
Is he with Toronto now or something?
Yeah, but he's just chilling in the front office.
Oh, okay. I forgot what he was doing.
Yeah, he's not managing. So I don't know. I mean, I certainly would rather have David Bell than I posed the question to Pearl before the show today. I think it's been thrown around on Twitter quite a bit. Who maximizes a poor roster better, David Bell or Terry Francona? I think that answer's pretty easy.
Correct. No, there's no doubt about that. You certainly, the way that David Bell manages, to the testament of those guys that I fought for the last year about, because I was a fire David Bell because he'd been here for 6 years and his best accomplishment was finishing third place in the National League Central. I was like, we've seen it with 3 different iterations of this team. Let's try something else. And to the testament of you guys, I said David Bell is the right guy for this job. If your roster is built on platoon splits and lefty-righty matchups and all that good stuff, then maybe you want a guy that's actually going to do that. I've always been that a dominant leader, someone that's good leadership gets the best out of human beings, and it's pretty clear that Terry Francona is a good leader. At least he's given us no reason to believe otherwise in the past 25 years that he's managed.